Hi guys! So today I thought I'd show you the 4 different kinds of airbrushes that are available. I'm really generalizing here and trying to make it simple, that there's really only 4 types of airbrushes, but it's kind of true. There's basically just these 4 kinds. The first distinction I want to make is the difference between single action airbrushes and double action airbrushes. I don't actually have a single action airbrush, but I can tell you exactly what it does. Okay, a single action airbrush is essentially this. All it is a thing that looks like an airbrush, but all it's got for functionality is on and off. That's the single action. So you might as well be using a spray can of paint as opposed to an airbrush. The only reason I could think you'd want a single action airbrush is, I don't know, if all you were going to do was do like stencil graffiti, so you were going to have a stencil cut out and you just want to go and spray over the top of it, and you don't care about like whether you can make fine lines or that kind of thing. So single action airbrushes, in my opinion, are something that you should stay away from. They'll look just like an airbrush, but basically it has this functionality. For the rest of this, I think it might be easier if I turned you around so you could see the airbrushes close up. So I'm just going to do that, and I'll walk you through the 3 different other kinds of airbrushes, the double action airbrushes. Okay? Just a second. Okay, so the first type of airbrush I'm going to talk about is this one. This is a double action airbrush, and I'll explain what that means really quickly here. Basically what it means is if you push down, you get air. Basically what it means is if you push down on the trigger, you get air, and as you pull the trigger back, that's when you actually get paint moving through the airbrush. Okay, so that's the double action of it. So remember, single action was on off. This is on and then paint, and then you've got some control. The further you pull the lever back, the more paint can actually get through the airbrush. Okay? So this one here is an Iwata Revolution CR. It's the first real airbrush I ever owned. It's nice and big and heavy, but what it is a gravity feed airbrush. This is the first kind of double action airbrush. The reason it's called a gravity feed is because it's got this cup on the top. You put paint inside the cup, and gravity pulls it down to the chamber here where the air passes through. So air comes up through here, moves across here, and as it moves past this chamber, it picks up paint and sprays it out the front. So that is a gravity feed airbrush. Okay? Next we have a bottom feed airbrush, or a suction feed airbrush. Okay, this one is a Iwata Eclipse HB BCS. How it works is you can attach bottles to the bottom. I'll just show you that real quick. Ugh, this is going to be hard to do at this angle. There we go. So you attach a bottle to the bottom, and what it does is air comes up through here and across here, and the air passing through causes it to suck paint, from the bottle and pull it out into the chamber where it sprays out the front. So it's the same basic concept as the gravity feed airbrush, except instead of dripping into the chamber, it's sucked up into the chamber. And you can see from this bottle, I'll just unscrew it, it has a tube that goes through. Let me just change the angle here. There we go, that's better for this one. It's got a tube that comes into the paint area where it can suck up the paint. And you can get all different kinds of bottles and that kind of thing for this particular airbrush. I'm going to pull the bottle off because it's hard to work with. Yeah, so that's a bottom feed airbrush. The last airbrush I have is a hybrid of the two. This is an Iwata HPSB. What it is a side feed airbrush. So basically it is a combination of the 2 airbrushes I just showed you. The cup is on the side of the airbrush. You put the paint inside the cup, and instead of gravity dripping it down, what it does is, I'll show you from this angle, what it does is as air passes through here,
it suctions from the bottom of the cup up through this little tube and then out the front of the airbrush. This one in particular, the cup comes off, so if you're left-handed you could put it on the other side if you'd prefer. Now, probably asking, why would anybody want an airbrush like this? Well, the reason being is when you look down this airbrush, the cup isn't obstructing your view at all. So it's really good for high detail work where you want to be very be able to see very easily what it is you're working on. And then this one, if you look down the airbrush, you got this big cup in the way, right? So I always found that I was working kind of at an angle like this so that I could see what I was doing instead of working straight on, which you're supposed to be doing. So yeah, that's why you would want the different airbrush with the side mounted cup.
I'm running low on batteries, so I have to make this quick, but I wanted to explain quickly why you would want each one of these different airbrushes and what the applications for them are. So this airbrush is good for general purpose airbrushing. This is what I recommend you get for your first airbrush, a gravity feed one. It's nice. This one in particular, the iWater Revolution CR, is nice and big. It's not fiddly. It's really easy to kind of, grab onto. It's not going to be difficult for you to work with at all. The cups come in different sizes, so if this one is too big for you, you can always get a smaller cup. So when you're looking through on websites as to different kinds of airbrushes, you'll see a number of ones that look like this, but with varying size cups. Some of them don't even have a cup, it just has a hole where you can put a drop of paint in. Those are for like really fine detail stuff, like nail art, where you're only ever going to use a drop of paint at a time, or maybe like painting miniatures, that kind of thing. That's where you would use this kind of cup. But it would work with this one too. You just end up wasting a little bit of paint because if you put one drop of this, it doesn't even work. You have to put 2 or 3 drops of paint in here in order for it to kind of get in the motion of working. So that's what this one is good for. The bottom feed airbrush, I'll just put the bottle back on it. The bottom feed airbrush, I keep looking to the side because I have a mirror in the back where I can see if the thing is actually in frame. These ones are really good for if you're going to be doing lots of painting. And by lots of painting, I mean that you're going to be using a large quantity of paint. So if you're painting, pardon, these don't usually fall off like that. If you're painting murals or t-shirts or something where you've got kind of a turnkey operation going, say you're doing softball helmets for a whole team and you want to be able to, paint all the blue at the same time, this is really good because you got so much paint to use. Plus, you can have lots of paint set up in different bottles, and you would just, have all different colors in the bottles, have them out in an array, and whenever you need a color, you just slap on a new bottle, spray until you get that color, because you're going to have a little bit left in your chamber of the previous color, and yeah, then you've got a whole new color and you're ready to go. So that's what these ones are good for. And lastly, this side-mounted one, like I said, is good for precision work. It's good for if you want to do fine art and detailed stuff. But you know what? Any of them will do the trick. Any of these airbrushes would be great for a beginner, but I would recommend getting this one first. You can do everything that you can do with the other airbrushes with a gravity feed airbrush. So just to recap, I showed you 4 different kinds of airbrushes. The first kind being a spray can or single action airbrush. The other 3 being double action airbrushes, in that you push the lever down for air and back for paint, and the amount that you pull the lever back dictates how much paint is going to be passing through the airbrush. First there was the gravity feed with a cup on top, the bottom feed that suctions paint up from the bottom, and the side feed, which is a combination of the two. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that clears up a lot of stuff that you see on websites and that kind of thing, talking about different kinds of airbrushes. Now that you have like a mental vision of what they all are, maybe you can make some better decisions along the way. So I hope that helps. If you have questions about these airbrushes, ask them in the comments below. I'll do my best to respond to everybody. That's my favorite part of my website, is the interacting with people who have questions about airbrushes. I might not know all the answers, but I can certainly point you in the right direction. So please ask in the comments below. I will try to get back to you. Also, I'm going to link to my website, as usual, in the bottom bar here. And specifically to the pages that talk about airbrushes and their different functionalities. It really helps to have like a good understanding of which airbrushes are what before you go out and buy. Okay, so thanks guys, hope that was helpful. Bye!